Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome to another Dilem-Monday. We have made it. We are all back here. We've got a lot. We've got a fun show in store. We're glad to have James back back east after going south and east. And a lot, and this side of it, you're actually awake. That's amazing.
Barely. I'm still exhausted from traveling. So
I saw some of those pictures today. They look cool.
yeah. Oh, it's beautiful over there. It's like a completely different world up there. And it's kind of hard to believe that's still part of the United States compared to being here in the East Coast.
I'm excited. Although I wonder the difference that I'm going to see in July versus what you saw in April.
You might have a better experience. One of our excursions was we did a hike at a rainforest in Ketchikan. And unfortunately, there was no wildlife because it was literally the first cruise of the season, and it was still cold over there.
Got it. So we'll see. I will compare pictures in the end of July, and we will see what our experiences are different and whatnot. I do know that I improved my room last week. So I noticed that hotels do this and so do cruise ships now. So they're like, we note that it is the last possible day to upgrade your rooms and this and that. And you could go into a lottery to try and get the upgrade. So to me, that means like a bid. You can bid whatever you want. And then all of a sudden I see like this $200 minimum bid. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to call Celebrity Cruise Line directly and see if I could just get the bigger, better room and what it would cost me and guarantee myself and not have to wait until the day of to find out if we got this upgrade.
Are we getting that noise, by the way?
Yeah, I hear something.
A little bit. I hear like a beep every once in a while.
There's like a I'm trying to figure out, is it one of us? One of us.
I don't hear it anymore.
One of us. One of us.
Did it stop for a second there?
Yeah, I don't hear it anymore.
It's
coming from you then, Corey.
It might be me.
Oh,
is it a fan?
Yeah, it sounds
like
yes.
All right. I'll lower that. I didn't realize you people could hear that.
But what I was saying about the celebrity thing, so I end up calling up Celebrity Cruise Line, and I tell her which room and what category I'm at, and I'm like, yeah, I really would like an even bigger whatchamacallit, balcony area.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those that kind of makes it look like you're not even having a balcony, like it's an open area thing and like suite area. So she's like, well, I don't know. I was like, yeah, why don't you look into it to tell me what it's going to cost? Just tell me what it's going to be. So she starts adding and doing all these numbers. She's like, well, you have insurance. I was like, yes, I realize I paid for insurance. She goes, you also paid for pre-tips. I was like, yes. And I paid for drinks ahead of time and a lot of other things. What would it cost to have the bigger suite? I don't know why this is such a hard question.
Why are you avoiding the answer?
So she starts figuring it out. She goes, well, sir, to get the bigger room, it's going to cost you $5. I'm just like,
$5.
Egats.
And I'm sitting there, wait a minute. So to bid on it and not necessarily definitely get it, it's going to be, by the way, it was $200 per person, not just 200. It's $200 per person. So wait, I can guarantee it for $5 or I could bid on it for $400. All right. I might not be the brightest man or the greatest mathematician in the world, but give me the bigger suite for the extra 43 square foot and the much larger balcony on the better deck for $5. And then I was like, she couldn't have figured this right? Like, there's got to be a screw up. So yeah. I'm like, all right, I got to go check the Celebrity credit card, the Bank of America credit card to see. Sure enough, it's only $5 added. Then I go to the Celebrity app. I see I got the bigger room.
Hey,
I'm like,
very nice. Very nice.
This is just dumb. But okay.
Maybe she figured out mid-conversation she was talking to Godfather Riemann and just wanted to keep him happy. That's
Could be.
the theory.
It was just so funny. And this happens. I realized if you ever get this from like Hilton or Marriott, just call directly. That means that they have suites available in upper rooms, and just ask them to upgrade you, and they will. It's so dumb.
I feel like I'll try that, but I'll have a way different experience than you did.
Like Corey, how often does that happen with us? It's like all the time, right?
I also feel like half the time, though, there's some kind of series of accidental disasters that like kind of leads to that. So like, I guess partially it still works. It still happens in the end, whether it's sheer incompetency on my end or just some disaster because you just bring bad luck amongst you and around you. But
how is it bad luck that you get to stay in the gigantic suite?
well, no, but as you would put it, you managed to fall upwards.
I fall upwards. I think it's you who fall upwards. But anyway, I'm excited for this show. I'm excited to disagree with Corey and excited to see.
Tonight's topic, I don't see how there's a way to disagree on. These are all things that happened. These are things that people do.
Sure, you guys will find a way.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's start off. Corey, why don't you tell everybody what the topic is today?
So tonight's topic, at least the way that I envisioned it, and seeing as I'm the one who puts the freaking, event together and titles it, pretty sure that it has some credence to it. We were talking in the car yesterday about famous people who have done who have either other things they do or something else they were famous for or somewhat famous for either before or during their careers, whether it's a hobby, a talent, a second other career in some of these cases. These are, the multi-talented people or who have either hidden talents, not as hidden talents, but just aren't things you're expecting from people. We are all people who are very multifaceted. Everyone on this panel has things that we're known for and then other things that we do. And I think that doesn't just apply to just us, normal humans of the realm. It's the rich, the famous, the celebrities, the talented. They've got other talents or things, passions that they like to indulge in.
Here's where Corey and I don't see eye to eye on this. And I want to hear Dave and James, your opinion. See, I don't care what your hobby is. Everybody has a hobby, but some people aren't very good at their hobbies. So to me, that's not exceptional. If you just enjoy playing the guitar, who cares? You enjoy playing the guitar, but you're not great at it.
So to do some point. I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
I'm not the best at it.
No, but it's a hobby then. And I wasn't referring to you, by the way.
I know you weren't.
I totally wasn't. My thinking though is where it's exceptional, and let's use like a ball player. It's exceptional when you're Deion Sanders and you're the best cornerback in the world, maybe ever. But yet you're still good enough to be a professional baseball player, a starting player on a playoff team.
Absolutely.
But to me, that's exceptional.
Okay.
But can I finish? I'm not finished yet. Whereas maybe he has another talent, again, like he plays guitar. I don't care. So does everybody else.
So
that's where you and I don't see eye to eye on this topic.
So point counterpoint, Jane, you ignorant slut. But come on.
Why that was on Jane? What did Jane do?
You are so lame. It's not even funny. But no, point counterpoint. As us fans of pop culture might know. But so to my point, I'm not disagreeing with you. There's nothing to disagree on. That being said, the point counterpoint here, it's sometimes interesting. There are certain people that it will surprise you the hobbies they have, given the things that they are famous for. It's like when you think about like certain people, like, oh my God, that
give
person.
Your first person. Give your first person.
Okay, so the one that apparently, and chat, tell us if you knew about this, if you had knowledge about this. I think it's really interesting the fact that Randy Johnson, the all-star pitcher, one of the greats of the game, after his retirement, became a sports photographer. And actually, at that point, one of the most well-regarded in his industry. So, like, if we want to, again, because there isn't a right and wrong answer here, Randy Johnson did go above and beyond. And yes, maybe he had some connections given the fact that he was a superstar. The fact that he's actually out there taking, wonderful photos, that's pretty cool to me.
Okay, so
That's
what? I'm not saying that it's not cool. And
by the way, his logo, the logo for Randy Johnson Photography is phenomenal. I'm going to pull it up here.
Well, I know what it is already because
it's hysterical. Well, yeah, and it's hysterical. So James, what else is the other incident that made Randy Johnson very famous?
During a spring training game about 20 years ago, Randy Johnson threw just a bit outside fastball, and for whatever reason, there must have been something in the air. He famously killed a bird in the process.
I was going to say there was something in the air. It was a bird.
Yeah.
I need to. You know what's interesting though? Now, Randy Johnson did not almost get arrested nor arrested for this, but when Dave Winfield in Toronto did the exact same thing, the Canadian police wanted to arrest him for it.
Oh, jeez.
Isn't that nuts?
That's kind of crazy. It's like literally.
That's moronic.
Well, it's Canadian government. I don't know. I'm just telling you.
Hey! We don't talk politics.
It's not politics.
You just said you just.
They're not the 50. They're not the 51st. All right, shut up.
I mean,
anyway.
But yes, this is the logo to Randy Johnson's photography company.
Okay.
It is a dead upside down bird. That's hysterical.
Which shows to me that it was a premeditated plot and that he intended to do that.
Actually, in fact, birds aren't real.
Or he's got a sense of humor. Think of that.
Yes. All right. I'll give you this one. I don't find it that interesting that he's a photographer, but he's successful at it and he's having a good career. And he
also does wildlife photos, by the way.
All right. So he's doing it professionally. And I guess that's the thing. If it's a professional thing and you're actually full-time at it and people consider you the best in your field or at least exceptional at it, then it's cool. But I know that you're going to list certain people like presidents who paint. I don't care. I just don't care.
I'm yes, James.
So are we going to talk about like actors who used to be like famous athletes like Terry Crews or Carl Weathers, like that kind of thing? Okay,
yes.
that makes more sense.
Kurt Russell.
Except with Kurt Russell, he really wasn't a great baseball player. He played baseball.
He was on a minor league baseball team. That's
where you and I disagree on minor league versus major league. Like, to me, whatever, you played minor league ball. Not that that's not great, but like, okay. Let me start. Dave,
by the way, the documentary on that, The Battered Bastards of Baseball.
Yeah, I've seen the thing.
Phenomenal.
Dave, what was someone that you picked out?
Well, I definitely see that there's going to be some. We want to try to.
Corey,
focus
can you
on
take
things...
that thing off the top left-hand corner? It's very irritating.
What top? What?
It's like I don't know. Well, okay, it's gone.
I think just in terms of what's going to be interesting for this is stuff along the lines of what Corey said, because I think it's safe to say most professional athletes do not become photographers. So, Craig, I get why that's not necessarily interesting, but many professional athletes start a clothing line or a sneaker. That's like, okay, a lot of them do that. That's not generally
Right.
interesting. Actresses start cosmetics line, that kind of, there's so many of those. I want to try to find things that are along the lines of like became a photographer. That's not that common, maybe not necessarily well known. I did throw a bunch together. They're not in any reasonable order here. Some are kind of along the line. And again, these are celebrities, so they have opportunities that the average people might not, just in terms of finances or whatever. I found this one, I think I'd actually heard of, that actor Steve Carell. A goop. I saw that when I was looking up possible things. I didn't feel like I'd bring it up though. Steve Carell owns a general store in Massachusetts. And I believe he occasionally works there, just like as a regular. Have you guys been there?
No, but I mentioned it because I thought it was interesting. And I was told no one's gonna think that's interesting besides you. No one's gonna find that funny.
Find it interesting.
But Craig, like for discussion purposes, if you happen to be wandering in small town Massachusetts because of a gig or something, you're on your way home and you stop in to buy, I don't know, jerky and dot candy, because that's what they sell at general stores, and the guy behind the counter happens to be the guy from The Office, wouldn't that strike you as, I better tell people this story?
Okay, so the answer is yes. That's a very ironically funny story and something like that. But I guess here's where my disconnect is on this whole thing. I'm going to just give you one of my people just to put where I was going with this. And again, that's the beauty of life. We all see things a little bit differently, which is why the show actually works. And we get so many people that listen and watch it. I was thinking someone like Hedy Lamarr, who in the 1930s and 40s was probably one of the most beautiful women in the world, the most famous actress, or one of the most famous actresses of her time. Samson and Delilah is, the most beautiful woman, and whatever. She also invented the damn Wi-Fi and Bluetooth,
which is phenomenal. Like that is where this.
So you have the most beautiful woman, the most successful actress, who also changed all our lives for forever, and so far and ahead of her time. So that's where I saw this going, like of those kind of like phenomenal feats where you were this, and then you also, I mean, because obviously as famous as she was as an actress and as beautiful as she was as a woman, she invented Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
I was going to say, and I think I actually know her more for the Bluetooth and for all of that. That's the funny thing. Because again, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure I saw it, the documentary about her that was on Netflix. Yeah. Again, and that is exactly what tonight's show's about. Stuff like that. That's like absolutely where my head was going.
I would agree, and I just feel like, Craig, we're probably going to find fewer of those. Yeah. I do have actually a couple along those lines on my list, but others are a little more toward like what Corey was talking about, and some are just
sure. I mean,
odd things I didn't know about famous people. It might not even necessarily be famous people that I'm a fan of, but I've heard of them, and we might have some of their fans watching. So.
Well, obviously, I was born in 1965, so I do not remember that in 1938, Hedy Lamarr was the hottest woman in the world.
And I guess that is the other thing, too. To a degree, the irony is maybe us being younger than you, we might know more things from, I guess we would say, prior to you, given the access we had to the content already having been, not just, a little prior, but like, Pryor.
I know
Richard Pryor played saxophone.
He also was in Bingo Long's Traveling All-Star Team and Brewster's Millions.
Which you make fun of me for the West Wing on this show. I swear to God, Bingo Long's Traveling All-Stars gets mentioned more than the fucking West Wing.
Which I still have not seen yet.
Oh my God, you got to watch it. It's so good.
I know. I'm trying. I did watch on the plane. I watched A Few Good Men for the first time ever, and that was an amazing movie.
That's so good. That movie. I love it.
It was amazing.
But could you handle the truth?
Truth.
I felt that because I've seen that clip like so many times, but then when you watch the actual movie and then he nails that line, you're like, ooh.
That's what it's about.
All right, James. Well, actually, Dave, throw me one more and then let's go to James.
Sure.
All right. Not to get too far off. Well, I'll throw that one back in later. We'll cycle around. This is for the younger folks, Craig. I don't know if you'll know the name Machine Gun Kelly, a contemporary.
Oh my God.
I didn't say I was a fan of all these people. I said I might just be mentioning some, but I'm bringing this up because he's like a techno guy. Kind of became more pop and mainstream. Outside of his music career, he also apparently owns and occasionally works at a coffee shop in Ohio. So along the same lines of the Steve Carell thing. And even though I'm not a huge fan of his, this is one I think I'd love to pursue. I would just like to be able to tell somebody someday that I drank a cup of coffee prepared to me by a guy who looks like an anime goblin and calls himself Machine Gun. That's going to be the strongest coffee anybody's ever had.
Wow.
There you go.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Yes. So, but and here's the thing that besides that being very interesting, and it is interesting to me that you and Corey saw it one way on how this thing goes, and I just see it so completely different. So, James,
Yeah.
give me one of your people to maybe.
Well,
see.
I was looking it up because I said I was going to do some research, and Hugh Laurie from House. He is an accomplished jazz pianist, a saxophonist, guitarist, and drum player, and he has a Spotify profile with his music on there, which didn't even know that was even a thing.
I actually had him
Damn.
listed on one of my lists.
Really? Oh, look at that. I feel
Yes.
accomplished. Well, it was either that, and I was thinking about Bernie Williams too, the former Yankee center fielder, who's an amazing guitar player.
Grammy
Who's
nominated.
actually- well, and even cooler, Corey's played with him.
Really?
Not baseball, but yes, we've met Bernie a few times, and there's this there's a place in White Plains, New York. They have this like it's not an open mic, nor is it an open jam session. It's a closed-in, invite-only jam session that guys like Bernie Williams and Gil Paris and a lot of the guys that work on Broadway, some of the musicians that are in the pits, they go to this jam on, I don't know if it's Tuesday, Thursday. It's many years ago that we went. Cody Bondra and Corey and I went down there. My friend Ken Sperling, who some of you guys have met, he's been on the show maybe once or twice years ago. Kenny had a friend that got Corey and Cody an invite. And there's Bernie Williams, and they got to play with Bernie.
That's I would probably be the same way too.
And then so the coolest.
By the way, the sweetest, nicest guy.
Even
Like-
better. I love to hear that. But
Like so ridiculously humble, and like he'll
much
stop and-
bigger in real life than when you see on TV too.
which
He's
is
a big dude.
because already big boy, but like
He's
big boy.
But the other thing then, years later, we see Bernie at the NAMM convention that we talk about a lot in Anaheim.
And that's one of the times I've punched you harder than I've ever punched you.
Yeah,
Because we're in the booth. We're in the one room.
It was by Breedlove. It was in
Yeah.
Breedlove.
Yes, it was
The
by
Breedlove booth.
the Breedlove booth. And we're in there. I turn around. I'm like, oh my god. And you were doing your Craig Riemann thing where you're kind of you're zoning and focusing on one thing, and I'm trying to get your attention to the point. I punch you in the arm, and I'm like, it's fucking Bernie Williams. And you're like, oh shit, that is Bernie Williams.
So
And-
we
and
literally
And we were
Over
talking,
there.
and we were talking for a while about how his former team really was sucking ass at that moment.
No, but the most important part was that we had said that Corey had said, hey, years ago I played with you there, and Corey had also mentioned that Gil Paris, because Bernie plays with Gil Paris a lot, and Gil's a great guitarist. He has his own guitar named after him. One of the brands sells the Gil Paris guitars, and no, we had a really nice conversation, and it was just a really cool thing. So Bernie is a really cool pick in my eyes because he did win a Grammy, right?
Well, I think at least he was nominated.
Yeah. So to me, going back to Dave, what I was saying about he was an all-star baseball player, but he's a award-winning musician as well. Not just, hey, I play the guitar.
Not a
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I see it. So I am glad, James, you're more on my side.
See, where I take those are extra credit points. Like, wow, not only do you do this thing that's so not what you're expecting. By the way, Bernie Williams playing jazz guitar does get mentioned in The West Wing.
I have a moth that is.
What he was, President Bartlett is arguing with what's his face, Barbara Streisand's husband,
James Brolin.
James Brolin's character. He plays the fictional governor of Florida, who's a kind of an everyman, and he's like, what? President Bartlett's like, why can't why do I have to pretend to sorry. Why'd I have to dumb myself down to try to talk to the American people? Bernie Williams is an accomplished jazz guitarist. Why can't you do both?
Well, you mentioned James. You mentioned Barbara Streisand. Now, does she count? She's a singer and actress. She's an award-winning singer and an award-winning actress. She is at the top of her field in both subjects. You know what I mean? Like, she's not just an actress who can sing. She is an award-winning singer, and she has won awards for her acting.
I think on your terms for this, I think she absolutely belongs here. But I know that Barbara Streisand is an incredible talent, and she could sing the phone book and probably act it as well.
And she's funny. She
was in Funny Girl.
Yes.
Hello, Gorgeous.
So I guess do we include people who are EGOT winners, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Awards, all of them?
I think they fit under this umbrella since we're making this is an umbrella. This is not a exclusionary circle. This is more of a Venn
but if
diagram.
they won it all for the same topic, like if they won it all because they weren't, well, I guess you can't win.
You can't.
You have to be able to. Yeah. So
you technically could. Isn't Bruce Springsteen's an EGOT, isn't he? Because he's not. Because he is not. His Tony's honorary. He is an honorary. It's a special category Tony.
Okay.
So I don't think because I think he has his Oscar for Philadelphia for the soundtrack.
Okay.
He's a Grammy Award winner. I think he has
the show on Broadway. Does that count? Did he win something for that? They gave him an award because it was such an incredible Broadway performance, but there's no Tony category that technically, it's Broadway. The Tonys are for Broadway. See, I wouldn't count him because basically he's doing the same thing.
Same thing. I'm not putting him in, but Jennifer Hudson, I would say counts a little more because she was in Dreamgirls. She did have albums. She has her TV show. She's won an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, a Tony. She's a full, and it's been in kind of different fields each time.
Yeah. But again, I go back to like the Hedy Lamarr where you're taking this brilliant
totally.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah. All right. Do you want to throw one more out there, James?
I have one. This one's interesting. Mr. Chow from The Hangover?
Yes.
Ken Jeong?
Mr. Chow.
He has
I know where you're going.
a medical license on it, which is
he is a doctor. Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, he had a sitcom that loosely talked about. I think it ran a few seasons, but it was kind of based on his life as a doctor. It was just called Dr. Ken. But yeah, he has a medical license. That's right.
Well, he plays in Knocked Up. He plays the doctor.
Because that was his first big role, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
basically playing a doctor. And he was quite obnoxious and mean, and that they come together. Rogan goes after him and says, "Hey."
Actually, speaking of that movie,
I know where you're going.
Seth Rogen has a pottery company.
Yes.
Seth Rogen sells pottery. He sells pottery.
He sells
can.
Yeah, I was
Yes,
gonna say
yes,
the first three letters are
pottery.
capitalized in that. Aren't they?
Well, so he sells.
Cannabis.
I was gonna say, I was trying to figure out how to say this to get us past the censors. The he makes trays for the preparing of jazz cigarettes.
There you
bongs?
go. Yeah. I've heard it. I've actually heard this when he was on Howard Stern. Him and Snoop were on in the same thing.
That's awesome.
Howard Stern, by the way, a painter.
Yeah, Howard, he's a
Actually,
great
his
bass
paintings
player.
are okay.
He's a musician. He sucks at everything.
I think that's
No.
interesting. He's a painter.
How thick
think
must the cloud of smoke been when Seth Rogen and Snoop are in the same studio?
Yeah. and they're talking about
Happy belated holidays, everybody, by the way.
Snoop and Rogan are talking to each other. It's like, yeah, man, I like smoking with because he's chill. They're like both of them are like chilled that when they're getting together, and he uses the Rogan bowl. He has gotten a present, and so yeah, that's how I had found out about that he makes these wonderful pottery pieces for a very specific use. See, I consider that one cool. Like that, I think he is an actually.
Well, as long as you think it's cool.
No, I think it is. All right, Corey, give me one of your people who I won't. No, give me one that I know I'm gonna love.
Okay, here's a wild one. Y'all ready for this?
I don't know.
Abraham Lincoln is inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame because he never lost a wrestling match in his life. He was in over 100 wrestling matches, and he never lost.
But he couldn't beat the Bullet.
Jesus Christ!
Wow.
Do you know, by the way, we went through the entire Titanic show without mentioning that it's also the day that Abraham Lincoln got shot?
How could we forget?
Actually, Fred, love this point. Joni Mitchell, she painted her own album covers.
No, which is
That's really cool.
yes.
And actually, Joan, okay, on very different ends of the ideological spectrum, Joan Baez and George W. Bush both paint very similar paintings. They're portrait painters, both of them, which is very funny.
I think Churchill, I heard, also was a painter.
If you guys noticed the poster, by the way, for today's event, the random painting on there is a Winston Churchill painting. He was a landscape painter. Which is
very cool.
Which again, you're not expecting, the old bulldog. You're not expecting, the cigar chomping bulldog, Winston Churchill. How did he relax while, while the Blitz was happening, or while he was trying to be unseated by various members of Parliament? He painted. He was probably drunk by the afternoon, but Winston Churchill was a painter.
Hey, Corey, a quick question, and I'm leading you on this one.
Absolutely.
On Wednesday and Thursday, who are we going to be with that is also a famous musician and painter?
So that is a great question. Thank you for that. We are going to be seeing and doing sound for famous harmonica player Lee Oskar, known for hit songs like Lowrider, Why Can't We Be Friends, and being a member of another band, but also the Lowrider band. Y'all can do Google so I don't get anyone sued. But yes, we will be doing.
That sounds like a war to me.
I don't want to get into any kind of war or any kind of conflict about it. But that being said, I'm going to put into the comments the tickets for this event are free. He's going over his musical memoir, not to put a bummer on this, but his mother and aunt, they survived the Holocaust. And I don't want to give too much away during this, but he tells his story about, how their survival and how he got to America, and it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. It's going to be it's a breathtaking presentation. It's going to be really heavy. I highly suggest anyone in the area Thursday night. It is a ticketed event, so I will make sure the link gets into the chat. But you can go to that there. They are free. Just make sure that you do register. And feel free to make a donation as well while you're there. But we love this. We love this for the community. I love Lee. He is one of the coolest human beings.
And his paintings, I believe,
are phenomenal.
It's he is very similar to like a Chagall type painting, and they will be for sale. Of which he will be donating back a good portion of the sales to the community. So, but he's a phenomenal painter, and it's someone again who went from literally sleeping in the parks of San Francisco as a 15-year-old coming over from Denmark, the son of a Holocaust survivor, to being in a super group and playing with every major musician that has ever played. It's kind of the American dream. So it's kind of a cool thing. But all right, let me throw another person. Speaking of painters and artists, but an artist who did something else that was pretty kind of cool. How about someone like Leonardo da Vinci, who developed
everything?
From like submarines to aircraft to war things that could be used in wars. How's that?
Okay. To that lady who can smile whenever.
Yes. Mona Lisa. But there's a person who, if you don't do any research, you just, the guy that, the picture that hangs in the Louvre. And then you realize that this is one of the great geniuses, brilliant minds of our time.
Fascinated by anatomy. Again, the famous the anatomical portraits.
Yeah,
that he did. Like the dude was a freak.
Yeah, and then why can't I just get like one talent?
And then we also you can also bring up the American Da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson. He played the violin.
He also was an architect.
He was an architect, lawyer, statesman, inventor,
philanderer, cheater on his slave owner.
He was. I mean, there's no denying that, and no one should deny that. He absolutely was. And the things he did was absolutely despicable. But he was a foodie.
Is that anything like a furry?
No. He was he was one of the first people to, despite, fighting a revolution to get rid of empires, he brought the cuisine of the French Empire to the United States. He is the man who popularized macaroni and cheese in the United States.
Was that French originally? Or was that Italian?
It was. Because French cooking is very, very heavy, rich food, heavily based in sauces. And the macaroni and cheese of Jefferson's era was a lot thicker, like a thicker cream sauce than it was like
I also think
cheesy sauce that we think of now.
Alcohol that was put into it as well.
It was like brandy or something that there was like a
he had done that, but
he was an inventor.
No, he was a very talented guy.
Can you imagine the conversations besides the political ones, him and Franklin? Like, I'm imagining like John Adams just being really just like to the side, like
annoyed with both of them.
Like, Franklin and Jefferson, the two inventors, the two scientists who are like absolutely going off and like, hello, can we get independence here? I'm John Adams. Hi, can we do this? Please.
You're saying it's like being with you and another musician, the two ADD boys going this way, and I'm like, can we finish the goddamn conversation, please?
Or like me when we do the sports shows and you and James go off, and I'm just like, what the fuck's happening?
Yeah, but we have a course. We know where we're going. There is a reason for where we're going. A show about sports, talking about sports. See, that's kind of it where we need to be on that. Yes. Dave, give me another one of yours.
You have a few others. One is this is kind of along the lines of the one you were mentioning earlier, Craig, about Hedy Lamarr, kind of around the same time. And I don't think she was particularly, but again, there's like a second degree thing. It would be Betty Nesmith Graham, who both invented liquid paper that later became known as whiteout, and also was the mother of Mike Nesmith of the Monkees.
Of the Monkees.
Yes,
that is a cool.
That's really cool.
Very cool one.
Oh, I thought of one that goes off of that one. Jack Black's mother was one of the programmers that saved the Apollo 13 mission. And she finished off the coding she needed to do as she was going into labor with her son. She brought, because remember, coding was actually done like on paper. It was like you had to like actually write these things out. And she's going into labor. She has her manuscripts with her.
before they had maternity leave, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Like that to me is wild. By the way, if there's any young shitheads watching this show, stop destroying the movie theater off of the fucking Minecraft movie.
Oh, I just
stop
heard about
throwing
that.
Like, please ruin theater going for the rest of us, you schmucks.
Yeah, because movies aren't struggling enough as it is. Let's get right.
Precisely. Oy vey.
Yeah, COVID kind of put a damper on movie going.
For a lot of
and then
people.
it just the problem with movies too that we'll get off subject briefly here. Right before COVID had hit, you started to have to get reservations for the movies. You were in these magnificent.
You still do.
You had like waiter service. It's like it became going to the theater and costing as much as going to the theater.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I dig this, or is this like a really cool date now? Like this is a great date, like not just the cheap date where, whatever. Now I'm watching the damn movie.
Well, you're combining both dinner and a movie at the same time. Last year I went to go see Twisters with Shannon, and there were like waiters, they were serving burgers, foods, and I'm like, I just want to think of popcorn. And it kept interrupting the movie too, because all you just see them is just walking right by them, giving people food. I'm like, this is too much. I can't do it.
Get another Sprite over here.
I missed the days when it was like the price of whatever the year was. Like that was great. I was like, whatever. But yeah, no, that back in the day, it was good times. All right, I'm gonna throw another one. I had put a list together, and you'll appreciate this one, James. I think everybody will. As a Yankee fan,
okay,
we have a very special announcer. Her name is Susan Waldman.
Yeah,
Susan Waldman was one of the first really play-by-play, color commentary announcers. But what people don't realize was she was a very accomplished Broadway actress. She starred on the Broadway show Man of La Mancha. And she was a very popular actress. She got her start in sports by singing the national anthem in a number of different parks when she was on like touring guides, on the tours, instead of being like on Broadway. If she was like in Pittsburgh, they would ask her, "Hey, Susan, would you sing the Star Spangled Banner?" And, I guess one thing led to another, and her interest in sports and radio. And she became from a leading lady with a beautiful voice to really maybe one of the most famous female sportscasters of all time. So I thought that was a cool one.
That's very, and you're reminding me of a particular rodeo cowgirl who got her start.
Oh God.
A rodeo cowgirl who
was she a calamity?
No, but she got her start. She was an accomplished, rodeo champion or champion rider in the rodeo. Someone dropped out to sing the national anthem at a rodeo that she was going to compete in. And this bold redhead got on stage, started singing, and that was the day that Reba McEntire got signed to her record career. She was a rodeo rider. She grew up riding horses, and she just sang on the side with her family. She sang in church. She did these things. But she got famous because she sang at one of these giant, and these rodeos are gigantic, some of them. She sang the national anthem, and everyone was like, excuse me?
Honestly,
So-
that would that would probably be another good theme for another night, because that's kind of related, but like people who got their
Accidental.
start by the weirdest turn of events. There's so many of those, and I think that would be another good episode.
Absolutely agree. That the sequel episode to this.
Yeah, no, that's see, and that's kind of what I'm saying. You know, here she was an accomplished rodeo person, and then obviously the singing thing and this whole other, you know, now she's an
And the
actress
bad
and a singer.
acting. I mean, the acting. Reba, please don't hurt me. Reba, you scare me a little bit. Please don't hurt me.
Are you,
Just because she does
you referring
stage
to her
show.
brief stint as Colonel Sanders, Corey?
Can I just say, wait, how is she getting away with having the same show as Reba on NBC again, but it's not Reba, but it is Reba, and it has literally the cast from Reba, but it's not Reba, but it is Reba?
You know who probably has the answer to that question is Tim Allen. And any other actor who's been put in the same series multiple times
Times over
with
and
different
over.
names and different co-stars, but it was the same show,
Pretty much.
minus the tools.
Yeah, right.
The only guy who didn't do it, what's his face, who died last year, the only one who could have two shows named after himself, but they were completely different shows.
There's several actors that did that. I'm trying to think of who you're talking about.
Why I feel like such a moron right now? Oh my god!
Oh, don't worry. You should feel that way all the time.
What can
I
you
share
give
your
hints-
genetics. That's okay.
Your
Hints
mother
of
was so
about
Do you know the name of the two
oh,
shows?
Newhart.
Yes, Bob Newhart. Yeah, Bob.
Just
The
occurred
Bob
to me.
Newhart show and Newhart, completely different shows, both named after him. He's the one guy who did two different shows.
But he was
But
genius
he
enough to
still
pull it
woke
off.
up. He
Bob
still woke
Newhart
up with the
God
same
bless.
wife. That
Yes.
you know, the last episode, he wakes up is like, I had this horrible dream, but he wakes
That
up
was-
with Susan
was great.
Plachette, Susan Plachette was a beautiful woman, but she had such a weird voice. It was so odd. You don't expect this woman's to look like that when you hear her voice. But she was a beautiful lady.
Can we hit the skies for a moment?
Well, I was just going to say the one other thing for you is that George Lopez. I wanted to mention that the theme song for the George Lopez show, the current one, is Lowrider.
It's
From Who? Not the Who.
That was
But the
NCIS.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's all right. James, give me another one.
This one's interesting. Did you know Johnny Cash was a Morse code operator?
Yes, I did, and I've got the story with that one.
Yeah, what you got?
So, yeah, when he was in the army, he was a Morse code operator. He detected it, and he was the first American and arguably one of the first people in the world to find out about the death of Joseph Stalin, because he was in Germany at the time doing the radio messages, and he is the guy that actually picked up the message that Stalin had died. He's the guy who then has to send the message over the wire, probably the crystal wire at that moment, over to the United States to say, "Hey, Joe's dead."
That's crazy, by the way.
Johnny Cash, the man in black.
That is very cool.
Mm.
I mean, and just but that, see, these are like really cool. That is a very, very cool, everything about that. And that was a career. I mean, you're in the military and you're doing that like that. And obviously you caught that thing. That's huge. I love that. Actually, I want to throw two ladies out there now based on kind of not coincidentally, but similar stuff. So we all know Julia Childs, right?
Yep.
Oh,
Yes. And we know her from her magnificent cooking shows, right? And her
oh
voice,
yes,
obviously.
The vo-
But
the
she was a
culinary voice of the
spy.
generation.
Yes, I think I've
She
heard
was a
this.
spy. That is just Julia Childs was an undercover top secret spy. That is freaking awesome. So that one, I was just like, talk about, I mean, what a brilliant person to make us a spy. You would never, ever pick
Oh,
right? And there is a movie about that.
and a TV show.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's the other woman that also, which is,
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Yes.
Do you have problems?
hey, stop. This is wrong. Dr. Ruth Westheimer, little Dr. Ruth, who asked you if you had sexual problems, was a sharpshooter for the IDF. Like, she was in the war. And
Actually, no. It was it wasn't even the IDF yet. It was the Haganah.
Right, it was the Haganah.
Even
Like, she was in the
scarier.
1948 badass, like surrounded by gazillion troops
The
to
sniper
one.
rifle must have been bigger than her. Is that where she developed the complex?
About sexual problems. I don't
Those
know.
guys
the
probably
bigger-
had a few.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The
After
big-
she
other
shot him,
problems.
she did. But yeah, I mean, these are just. I mean, Dr. Ruth and Julia Childs. Can you imagine, like, these two, like, you know, putting this in just phenomenally, you know, those are super talented people.
Speaking of PBS,
Yeah,
and again, and I know the military is a kind of different thing. But know what? Again, because we could mention like Ted Williams and Yogi Berra and those guys. But speaking of PBS, did y'all know that freaking Bob Ross was an Air Force drill sergeant?
Ah, you beat me to it.
And by the way, I'm getting into paint by numbers. So that's my side hobby. I did this one. I'm very happy with it. Very proud of myself.
Nice. I'm assuming he used a much louder voice during the drill sergeant than on TV.
And he swore, and the reason why he ended up with happy little trees. There's no accidents, no mistakes, just happy accidents. He said, "I never want to yell at anyone ever again."
Wow.
I'll tell you, his show on PBS
Was so
and Mr. Rogers. You know, I'm a pretty high-strung person. I've been known to maybe lose my temper and get upset with things. I loved watching Bob Ross paint, and he would put the colors together and he would do the painting, and I just found it so relaxing. You know, just wow. And the other one was Mr. Rogers. When he would go in and he would take the jacket off, he'd put the sweater on, the shoes, the
and he was the same guy on screen as he was off screen. Does that just not warm your heart?
And the land of make believe. That was so great with the little trolley.
And those were his puppets. He wrote. Actually, know what? He counts. He wrote all the songs for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He played the piano and wrote. He wrote and played the piano for all of those songs.
Now,
it's a great day to be alive. I've got this glorious feeling that I'm feeling inside. Oh my God. That's one of my favorite songs in the entire world.
I had some of the puppets as a kid, like King Friday, X the Owl. Those were among my favorite collection. Yeah.
I love that. But it's just, you know, and I feel like maybe kids are missing that today. Like, it was, you know, just such a it was relaxing.
I'm like crying thinking about him because he was just the best.
Yeah, no, it was just,
we should all live a life that makes Mr. Rogers proud of you.
Yeah, no, it was that was one of those shows that just made me feel good. You know, I always enjoyed it, and even later in life, it was on. I would be like, "No, I'm not turning the channel. I'm going to watch this."
God damn it! I'm breaking my own rule. What? Save PBS, and to our neighbors up north, save the CBC.
I wasn't
We
going
need-
to say anything because of your rule, but
I'm
yes,
breaking the rule
I
because
think right now he'd be rolling in his grave knowing that they want to cut it out. But not to get
the man who
political
did save PBS, because he went in front of Congress and they were going to cut millions from it, and he
Right.
stood there brave and tall, and he said children need to have access to good television, educational television that's not just guys knocking each other over the head.
and just to give the other side though of today versus then, there were 3 or 4 stations then that was your only choice, where there is a gazillion choices. There are even shows like ours that we're not a kid show, but there are a million others who do a kid show like this and go on, and you can find a million other things where the government does not need to maybe put the money into that. I'm just giving you the other side. I'm not taking sides on it.
We need to do, by the way, that would be a fun Dilem-Monday. Dilem-Monday, the youth. A conversation with the youth.
Yeah, we'll
What's
bring
up with
Nate.
the-
We'll bring Gabe and Nate on and hear them debate, and we'll be frightened. They're the next door neighbors who take
Piano lessons
and from Corey.
Oh, jeez.
Some of the things that come out of their mouths, Jesus Christ.
I remember the one. Well, Corey, if you were already drowned, why would I jump in to save you?
Okay, yeah, it was okay. I won't name names, but one of the two of them, I forget how it got into this, but like if I was, if I ended up, in a pool, like I fell in the pool during a lightning storm, what, you wouldn't try to save me? He's like, no, you'd already be dead. Why would I end up trying to kill myself? I'm like,
which made perfect point.
I'm like, on the one hand, like, you're not
But at
wrong.
least lie, make me feel like I'm important in your life. Yeah, no. But yes, moving forward. Who are we on at this point? I know I jumped in. James, were you still? Give me another one, James. Throw it.
Well, this one's a good one. Did you know that Steve Buscemi used to be a member of the FDNY? He actually fought fires for a few years, and then when 9/11 happened, he actually volunteered to help clean up the site over there, which is definitely something very honorable. I think he did it for free too. He just did it just to save as many people as he can.
He went to his old firehouse and said, "Put me in, coach." Like
Yep.
he was like, I got to do this. These are my brothers. These are the people in my life that really meant something. And this is my city. And, yeah, I'm a freaking movie star, but know what? This is what I've got to do. He's a hero.
Yeah.
And see, to me, he was a professional fireman and an actor. Like you see what I'm saying? Like that's where it counts to me. Like that is a skill. Like you have to be, trained. You have to be a professional to be a fireman. So I that one I love. Corey had mentioned that one to me as well earlier in the day. It's kind of fun researching this, to be honest with you. Like it's, you hear about some very interesting things. Corey, you want to throw one out there?
Yeah. What's besides Jesus Christ of Nazareth? He was a carpenter. No, but
what was his other talent?
Surfboarding.
I was gonna say he he was a self vineyard. He was a vineyard without an acre.
I don't even get the joke.
Water to wine.
Oh yeah, he made water to wine. Good point. Yeah.
Actually, speaking of wine, Francis Ford Coppola, his last bunch of movies. So he has at this point a very notable wine company. It's actually the wine's very good, and he uses the money that he makes from the wine company to fund his movies. And he actually makes all of his. He doesn't do anything off the grounds of his vineyard. He films all of the stuff that he films at this point. So Megapolis, that the disaster that it was entirely filmed on his vineyard, and he made it with the money that he made from the wine.
And who else has a very famous song about spilling the wine?
Oh, you mean that band that Lee Oscar used to be in that now has their music performed by the Lowrider Band?
Yes. What is the name of that song?
Spill the wine hit that girl. It was actually Eric Burden's birthday a few days ago. He turned 80.
Yeah.
By the way, the 9 years ago today, the incredible ping pong and basketball player Prince Rogers Nelson, the purple one, possibly the greatest of all of them, passed away, and it's hard to believe that that's already been 9 years ago. Again, you ask Jimmy Fallon and Questlove, he was an incredible ping pong player. Ask rest in peace Charlie Murphy. He was an incredible, despite being a tiny little dude, an incredible basketball player.
Yeah.
And what instrument didn't he play? You know what? You can argue about who's the greatest versus who's not the greatest, but Prince was the fucking coolest.
Yeah, I remember hearing that before he became famous, he had taught himself like at least 24 instruments, and I'm sure he probably taught himself more after that. Just how ambitious he was.
And lest we forget, his name is Prince Rogers Nelson. That is his actual name. He was born to be music royalty,
which is why he became the symbol.
No one else ever did that.
Yeah, exactly.
Him and Harry Windsor, the artist formerly known as Prince.
Yeah, and Harry, yeah.
Actually, that schmuck, he did his time in the military. Actually, he unlike many of the members of his,
knows how to fly a helicopter.
I was going to say, unlike many of the members of his family, other than his grandfather, he actually did have distinguished service in the military. Most of them do it, and good for them too. Again, they've done more military time than I have. But you know what?
His aunt is a world-class equestrian rider, right?
Yeah.
His aunt, right?
Yeah, that is his aunt. Yeah, no. Well, again, it's weird. She was an Olympian.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Actually, yeah,
Springsteen's daughter, an equestrian,
also an Olympian. Yes, but yes, and the Princess Royal. Yeah, she was an Olympian. Bruce Springsteen's daughter's an Olympian. Equestrian's cool. The
nuts to ride a big 6, 7 foot, 8 foot horse in the air.
I think it's
super fast, jumping over big high things, man.
It's absolutely incredible.
No, I'm not doing that. Not in a million years you catching me doing that. I'm trying to think some of the other
know what? So we were talking about equestrian, and that obviously there's a certain image you have of that. That being said, in the world of sailing, Dad, we went to the International Sailing Hall of Fame this fall in Newport, Rhode Island. Who was the one person that shocked you that has won multiple America's Cups?
His name is Ted Turner. Ted Turner, the TV,
the mogul.
Yeah, rich mogul TV super, married to Jane Fonda at one point. While she was doing her exercise, revitalized her career so I guess she kind of counts too, right? Actress, and then the exercise guru of, she really changed things. Lucille Ball was a singer, actress, yes, and she gave us Star Trek. She said, Desi Lou said, "You know what? All the other production companies aren't going to do it. I see the value in this groundbreaking series. I see this. Shatner's an astronaut. He is. He went to space.
Him and
for real, not just on a TV show. Katy Perry now is as accomplished as he is as an astronaut. But
know what? She wasn't 90 years. She wasn't 90 years old though.
No,
that part to me, that Shatner, 90 years old, went up to space.
Who would have thought Shatner's going to be the last one surviving on that? Him or Sulu? But he's a lot older. Oh my! I was thinking some other athletes that are kind of like great at many different things, but Wilt Chamberlain always stands out for some other things. Not just that he slept with 20,000 women.
I was going to say, please don't tell me he founded Planned Parenthood.
No, but Planned Parenthood was founded for him.
But He did some other stuff that I think he held some world records for, that besides that other thing. So besides being the accomplished, obviously basketball player, and he was a Hall of Fame volleyball player, and he's a tremendous track athlete. He used to take a car non-stop, except for gas only, not going to sleep, to drive from one side of the country to the other, and in like world record times. He did this for like fun. He'd wake up in the morning and say, "Hey, I'm just going to drive from New York to California." And he would just do like stupid, like Iron Man stuff that he'd just make up himself to do. And I like this guy, and he would just show up at a gym somewhere and then just show like, "Hey, how do you do that lift?" And he'd bench 500 pounds. I mean, talk about the most amazingly, phenomenal specimen of an athlete that has ever lived. But his mental fortitude to be able to do these things, challenge himself, and to accomplish those kind of things, really is amazing. So,
but
I was
by the way,
a
very similar vein. You know what? I will say, we all know that I am a diehard Yankee fan, but there is a very, very, very special place in my heart for Ted Williams. I think Ted Williams, truly one of the coolest dudes who ever played the game. He was not just a fighter pilot during World War II and the Korean War, but here are the lists of Hall of Fames this man is in. So he's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He is in the Sport Fisherman Hall of Fame. He, I believe he is in the San Diego Sport Hall of Fame, the Marine Corps Sport Hall of Fame, the Marine Corps Hall of Fame. Like, Ted Williams was just a really, really cool dude.
Well, he was a man's man, right? He's a Marine. He's a pilot. He was a badass baseball player. He was like the super fisherman hunter. This guy was.
If you ever had to force a Red Sox jersey on me, but I got to choose who it was, obviously I'm picking number 9. That's
over the Big Papi.
Oh,
Big Papi.
Again, Papi has a special place in my heart as well, because know what? He was the foil to Derek Jeter. He was, great rivalries are only great if you have great rivals.
Joe D, Teddy Baseball. And that's the one thing about that great era of the baseball guys. Hank Greenberg.
I was gonna tell
DiMaggio.
I was gonna tell me, yeah, Dad. What were all of their impact in the world of fashion?
Well, Hank Greenberg married the daughter of the Gimbels franchise.
Well, that wasn't where I was going, but I like this.
Oh, well, I thought you were leading. I didn't even know that you knew that. But yeah, he married. I
did not.
The Gimbels. So for those of you who are too young to remember what Gimbels was, go back to the Miracle on 34th Street, and next to Macy's was another great giant store called Gimbels. They were head-to-head.
Did you know anyone who was employed there?
I do know this little redheaded lady that was there, who actually probably wasn't redheaded when she worked there. My mom worked at Gimbels while she was going to college. That's how she helped pay for her way to go to college.
And that's why you never shopped at Macy's as a kid, correct?
No, that's a lie. we went, but we used to go to Gimbels because there was a little Gimbels in Bar Harbor, which is now which is in Massapequa, which is now Food Town. The shopping center over there for the Long Island people, which we got to go to Long Island on Sunday, which was fun. But by the way, I don't know what's going on in the world in the sense of traffic,
or the lack thereof,
on a Sunday afternoon,
Easter Sunday. By the way, yes, Sunday. Happy belated Easter, happy belated Passover. He is risen, the bread is not. And to all of you who partook yesterday, you were probably also risen as well.
The 420, guys, for what you're looking at. Yes. So, but we, and maybe that might have been the reason people weren't driving, because they were partaking in the 420 activities. I don't know.
Partoking.
Yeah, partaking. We got to New Hyde Park from Avon, Connecticut in 2 hours and 10 minutes on Sunday. in what should have been an extremely busy ride, right? I mean, we had to be in New Hyde Park. We tried to be there by 1 p.m. and we got there at 12:30, so we ended up stopping somewhere. It was crazy how quickly we got there. And then on the way home, now this is what, about 9 o'clock? Again, this is the end of most people's spring break. This is the end of the holiday. It's a Sunday night. We got home in 2.5 hours. On a Sunday night? Over the Throgs Neck Bridge, through the Bronx, Stanford?
Just take it. Don't question it.
I'll tell you how lucky we got. Even on Route 4, I didn't get caught at the light making the left onto Route 4 coming out of Avon there, by where Miss Porter's is on the corner of the country club. And we hit a green light and made the left. We had no traffic even there. And on the way back, no traffic straight through to make the right onto West Avon Road. It was crazy. It was a wild day for no traffic. I should have played a some kind of lottery or something yesterday, because everything we did worked. It was a great gig, nicest people in the world, had such a good time. It was a lot of fun. Speaking of those gentlemen, were all a lot of the people that we played for were police officers who all had second jobs now. They'd all retired police officers doing a lot of interesting things. So it was kind of cool. Those guys were really neat dudes. And I'm sure we'll be playing for them again. It was a good time.
Actually, by the way, we probably should mention it. I looked up a hobby of obviously, if you even turned on your TV today, His Holiness Pope Francis I passed away at the age of 88. And when he was still in Argentina, he played rec basketball. That's just funny, thinking about the guy who would become the old man in the white robes. Thinking he was a young man at one point is kind of funny too. But he was a basketball player who liked listening to ABBA and the Beatles. That's kind of funny. That's cool to think about. That these guys, no matter what they do and how they were people at one point, normal people like you and me.
They didn't always wear the white gown.
No, he was also a science. I think he was a biology major, if I'm not mistaken, which is just, you don't think about that.
Well, I think I've told the story before about my my visit to the Vatican, right? You guys have heard it before, but yeah, you yes, that will always be my. Not everybody got to see an assassination outside Vatican City, but I did. Every visit's memorable. The other thing I always remember about Italy, speaking of the Pope and stuff, my mother, God bless her, the woman who worked at Gimbel's, we're outside the Colosseum, and there's some dude with marble stuff selling marble statues and things, and the guy had one was like a Roman chariot, which I think Corey's going upstairs to grab from upstairs. And the other is a Pieta. Now, do you guys know the Pieta, what that is?
The statue of Mary?
Right, the statue of Mary with Jesus dead over her. Yes, that's my mother.
Pity of Christ.
Yes, my mother buys the Pieta, marble Pieta.
I forgot it's too high up.
And then she bought this giant chariot with horses and things, and she's negotiating. You had to be there was truly remarkable. You have this guy trying to negotiate with them to buy this marble on the streets outside the Colosseum, and my mother and father do not know anything about. They cannot speak Italian. Corey,
if only they had
Italian.
me.
They had their grandson,
buono.
the member of the Avon Italian Club, and
one of my hobbies, playing bocce tomorrow night.
Yes, the bocce player. But then the guy's like, German. Do you speak German?
9.
So they're like, Fistache Yiddish. Okay. So between the guy speaking German and my parents botched up Yiddish back and forth, they negotiate and they buy these 2 giant marble things. And who gets to carry this? The 9-year-old. I got to walk around frickin' Rome carrying this heavy ass marble shit.
If it wasn't up above the shelf in our living room, I would have just grabbed it, but that is way too high up, and as he's mentioning, way too heavy for me to want to risk it.
It's like something out of the Bible, a 9-year-old lugging heavy items around the city.
This is ridiculous. And when my dad sold the house and later passed away, I did give away the Piet to someone who would actually appreciate it. And Tansy does listen to this show sometimes, so she might, if you're listening, you know where it is.
Feel free to send
the picture.
We miss you. You were one of the absolute. You were an angel to my grandfather. He adored you. You made the last years of his life wonderful.
She's the only one who would listen to his damn stories. I heard them all before. I didn't need to hear them again. And I wasn't going to listen to Frank Sinatra and the damn show tunes all day. Like when he played the Beatles, okay, I'll sit with them. But
okay, I've got. I'm like looking through on my list here of some of the outrageous ones.
I had a couple more I want to bring up before we wrap this one.
Oh yes, Dave.
I have 2 more.
All right, lightning round, Dave.
Yes. All right. Did you guys know that rock musician and movie score composer Trent Reznor owns an escargot-themed restaurant? It's called 9 Inch Snails.
Oh!
Okay, I made that one up, but how awesome would that be? The next ones are real. Bill Wyman, former Rolling Stones member, owns his own line of metal detectors, because why not? And Burt Ward, formerly of Batman TV show fame, owns a dog food company.
Oh, there you go. His career
wild.
All right, James, throw me yours.
Probably one of the greatest guitar players ever. Brian May is an astrophysicist.
He was on my list as well. Yeah, that's freaking wild.
Yeah. And the other one I have is Bruce Dickinson is a pilot as well, too.
Absolutely.
So I found a lot of these, like some of the actors, like the John Travoltas of the world, right?
Harrison Ford.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
I hope Bruce Dickinson never has any flight number 666.
As long as the plane is called the Beast.
That doesn't make it much better, honestly.
There's a bunch of guys like
because it's Newman. The number of the Beast.
Paul Newman was like a championship race car driver.
Of course.
He didn't just own the team; he actually raced.
NFL
where George
hole in the wall game.
He was absolutely. And George Harrison was he loved Formula. Like he was I know he didn't do the racing, but it's just funny thinking about, the Quiet Beetle absolutely loved Formula One racing and would that was his happy place. He would go to escape, it's the one place he didn't have to be George Harrison, the Beetle. He could just kind of go and put on a hat and be like, fast cars.
How about Joe Gibbs, the old Washington Redskin coach? He also became a championship race car owner. So he was not only great at coaching football and Super Bowls, he was able to put together world championship race teams.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. Okay, although, would you say, though, is that one of those where, hey, he's kind of a coach in both of those? So it's but even though it's different things?
I'll still go with it. Okay, y'all want one that's just completely out of nowhere. This one, no one else is doing this one. If we're all familiar with the 90s R&B singer Erykah Badu. Erykah Badu is a doula. She helps to deliver babies.
Interesting one.
While singing her music to them.
Bag lady. You're gonna hurt your back carrying all them bags around.
But she changes the lyrics to be about pregnancy. I don't know.
Bag baby.
Or fat lady. That wouldn't be nice.
Oh, no. Oh,
You're gonna
Hey,
hurt your back.
actually, I got one that's kind of cool because Corey, you sort of brought it up earlier today. How about Terry Bradshaw?
Yeah.
Terry
His
Bradshaw.
country music career.
Yeah, remember? I mean, he had some hits, and he was out there, and obviously he's an accomplished sportscaster and movie star. He's been in a whole bunch of movies, and he's had maybe not the leading role, but he's been a very important part of the role in each one of these. Bradshaw's a really talented guy, and he was married to a champion ice skater in JoJo Starbuck back in the day. Not that, Corey's like, well, is that really an accomplishment? Well, you and I never got to marry a world champion skater, so yeah.
My mother is a star. You take that back.
Not on the ice, she isn't.
I think Oscar De La Hoya also had a moderate music career, if I remember correctly, after boxing.
Did he?
I think so.
Oh my God! What's his face on the Mets? On the Mets, he's got the pop song that he sings before the game.
OMG.
Yeah. Oh my God!
I don't know that.
He's not even on the team anymore, so that's the ultimate disrespect to the Mets.
I'm lost on that one myself.
No, look that one up. Okay, here's another one. Here's one that's a surprising former member of our armed services. That is absolutely mind-boggling to me. Ladies and gentlemen, a 2-year reservist during the Vietnam War, Larry David. Larry David was in the Army Reserve.
Yeah, but so I was thinking about that. What's the playwright? They had all the Broadway shows and the movies about it.
Neil Simon.
Neil Simon, right? I mean, he was in he was actually in the Army as well. That's what are the two plays? I'm trying to remember. I've seen them both, and I've seen the movies with Matthew Broderick's in it. And
Chapter 2, Producers.
Yeah, no. This is when he goes to
The Odd Couple.
No, this is actually Matthew Broderick is in the Army. He goes to training. Christopher Walken is the
Biloxi Blues.
Biloxi Blues. Thank you. Yes. So yeah, that's a real. It's based on his.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a real gig there. So these are cool things.
You know who's actually you know who's a preacher?
Al Green.
Denzel Washington. Al Green, yes, the Reverend Al Green, yes, and Denzel Washington.
Yeah, but aren't you also considered sort of a preacher?
No, I'm an ordained minister. That's Denzel Washington actually went through and he really
he paid $25 to become an ordained
$75. Thank you.
Sorry.
$75 at a point in my life where that actually took a little bit of a hit, but
I would go listen to a Denzel sermon. I feel like that would be very engaging.
I think that would be phenomenal.
I feel every time he acts, he does a sermon of some kind.
So preacherhood kind of followed organically.
Yeah. Well, you brought up a military roles that Matthew Broderick played, and I thought of Glory, and I'm like, Denzel, he was a preacher.
Yeah, he does some.
Actually, another side hobby of Matthew Broderick's vehicular manslaughter.
Oh, I knew you were going to go there, and that's just wrong. That's just not right. That's I didn't say that John Denver was a terrible pilot, did I?
He's an equestrian as well.
Ugh, please no.
Because he rides Sarah Jessica Parker.
Well, if I can use that segue to speaking of bad jokes, I see a lot of open micers in my career just getting up and making the saddest, I'm trying to be edgy and it's just unfunny stuff about Helen Keller, but she kind of fits here too because not only did she, is she known for overcoming, her disability, she became an accomplished writer, a suffragist, an activist. She helped found the ACLU. So
Yeah,
this, I mean,
Actually, that is actually incredible. A good Connecticut girl.
I didn't know. I never saw the signs.
well, that was an M. Night Shyamalan movie. I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Or what's her face? I saw the sign. Oh,
Ace of Base. Wow, wow. No, we're really reaching now. Must be the end of the show.
weren't they anti-Semites? Isn't there something
Ace
about
of
Ace of
Base?
Base being?
Oh, I don't.
Look this up. Look.
Okay, I'm putting an end to this before it even starts. I don't care.
Let's do a soap thing. Is Corey right about Ace of Base?
Tune in
Billy
next.
Crystal was on soap.
Yes.
Remember? That was where he got his start.
He a
He's
groundbreaking.
an actor, comedian.
He is. Okay. Al Roker and Gladys Knight are both renowned chefs. But
And Lenny Kravitz is his cousin.
it is true. Lenny Kravitz is Al Roker's cousin.
Roxy was his first cousin.
I knew that Roxy Roker was the mother of Lenny. I don't know that I ever tied him together with the weather person. I didn't
Roker
realize
and Roker, right?
Okay.
Al and Roxy
Yeah.
Roker. Yeah, they're first cousins.
Mhm.
Obviously, he's third cousins, Lenny, but yeah, no, they're cousins. Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
That is kind of.
And Sting and the recently departed Roberta Flack were both school teachers before they became musicians.
That's really
I
cool.
would picture that's probably
Wasn't Pat
semi-common.
Benatar also a teacher as well?
Pat Benatar, I believe, was actually training to be an opera singer when she just kind of.
She
switched over to
was.
rock. Yeah.
Oh, know who also was an opera singer? Mike Rowe, the host of Dirty Jobs.
Really? That's
He
a
was
switch.
an opera singer.
Oh, you know who, Corey, we said we were going to bring up? Katie Seagal.
Katie Seagal. Okay,
Oh yeah.
a lot of actresses, put out an album or whatnot. But here's why Katie Seagal, in my mind, was cool. She was a backup singer. She wasn't just an actress who said, "I want to put out an album." No, she was like Bob Dylan's backup singer. She was a backup singer for like Van Morrison. She I believe Van Morrison. I if I'm not mistaken, but
I know
she
the
was,
Bob Dylan part. She
was a backup singer, which means if you ask me again, as a lead singer, the hardest job in the entire world is to be a backup singer. There is no harder form of singing in the world, if you ask me, with the exception of maybe yodeling. Which no, and don't make fun of you. Like yodeling is probably it is probably the hardest vocal skill that you can learn. But being a great backup singer is probably the hardest and most difficult job as a singer. And that's why not every singer can do it.
Yeah. I've heard that Katie Seagal has released albums, and I've also heard that she's a heavily underappreciated singer in addition to all the acting credits she's probably better known for.
Yeah, I mean, she does in what's the dopey with the Pitch Perfect. She's in the second.
Oh, is she
or
in
third
that?
one.
Okay.
At the
Good
end, she
news,
plays the
everybody.
mom. She comes on stage and does the singing. So with everybody else.
He sang some songs for the Sons of Anarchy soundtracks, which are
Wasn't she? I never watched that, but I think she had a recurring role on it, if I remember.
she was
correctly.
great.
Yeah.
Was she? Yeah. Okay.
Well, she goes from Peg.
Yeah.
Which is,
But she had guest roles in so many shows. She's probably best known for Peg Bundy. That's what made her famous. But she had minor roles in a lot of different series and continues to act. I think she's on The Conners.
yeah,
Or
she's on a
Roseanne.
ton of stuff. I mean, she's a very good actress.
Do you know what Michael McDonald, speaking of Peg, do you know what Michael McDonald did before he was a singer?
Yodeled.
He was a coke dealer.
Oh, I was going to say it was a plumber. I
I didn't get that. Yep, I wasn't expecting that one.
Rod Stewart was a gravedigger.
I was going to say one other thing with Katie Seagal. She has sisters that are twins, and they used to have a show on TV. It was a sitcom that was probably around a season or two. I think one of the sisters is Allie, and I can't remember the other. But yeah, Katie Seagal's two sisters, the Seagals, they had a sitcom.
Is their last name Seagal? Or do they have like stage names or married names? Because I don't remember. I feel like I would have heard that at some point. I don't know about it. I'm gonna have to look it up.
I think I could probably Google it.
Okay.
Let me just see here real quick. Come on.
Please enjoy the music while your party is reached.
Yes.
Hit the censor button tonight. You haven't had to hit that at all. You're experiencing technical difficulties, but your call is very important to us.
Twin sisters, Jean and Liz Segal.
What was the series called?
Damn it. Hold on.
Oh,
Oh, damn it. I won an Emmy.
The Doublemint twins.
I thought there were several pairs of Doublemint twins because that series of ads went on for a long time. I don't think it was always the same two girls.
Liz and Jean Segal's TV show. What was the name of it?
Divorced with pets.
Oh, it was Double Trouble. I'm sorry.
Okay.
1984 to 1985. So it did not last long.
Oh, it was before Married with Children. Okay.
Yeah, no, that was the thing. They actually had a TV show before she did. She was still running around being a backup singer.
Got it.
So that was the part that I always, that was just an interesting little tidbit to the thing.
Actually,
All
there
right.
are a lot. I was going to say there are a lot of humanitarians. I do want to mention this one though. This because it's a little bit different. John Bon Jovi in the Soul Kitchen.
Yeah.
What a phenomenal, a pay nothing restaurant for those who need it. Those are there. A no questions asked, no pay restaurant. Pay if you can. He's been doing this for 30 years at this point. Like,
he also owns an indoor football team, doesn't he? An indoor
Does he?
football team. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, no, Bon Jovi's a cool dude. He's just a really good guy, married to the same girl from high school. I mean, he's like a storybook, and every male in the world is jealous because he's just really good looking too. It sucks. Like, he can sing, he's good looking, he's nice. F him. No, he's the all-American guy. God bless John. Anyway, it is 9:32.
Tonight's bed by.
It did, and I'm ready for bed because I'm still not.
Oh, geez. Still in Alaska time?
No, it's not that. It's just a lot of traveling on Saturday. It took a lot out of me because I'm not used to it.
Of course.
And now you have to go back to those lovely children that you deal with.
Hey, I didn't yell at them today, surprisingly, for someone.
Dude,
Hey!
you're probably falling asleep.
Those little.
James, what do you got to plug?
What?
What are you plugging?
I haven't done my podcast in 2 weeks, honestly. So listen to the previous episodes. We'll have one release coming up.
All right, Dave, where are you going to be?
This Saturday, Village Tavern in Salem, Massachusetts, and nothing the following. That is LIC Tonsorial in Astoria. Adding to the calendar all the time. Dave Sheehan commented, thank you. Yeah, I try to keep my my dates current on there. Thank you.
Perfect. So, Corey, we mentioned a little bit. Tell our week.
Absolutely. So we will be we'll be doing sound for the for Never Forget Lee Oscar's story through music. We are going to be doing that in one event in the afternoon in New Rochelle. But for those of us local to where we are in Connecticut, we will be Thursday night at the JCC. You can get your tickets at eventbrite.com. In the JCC, the Mendel JCC in West Hartford. You can go to tickets in the available link in the chat, or hit me up. We can make things happen. It is free tickets, but you do need to RSVP ahead of time. There will be refreshments and art for sale. Make sure you check that out. It's a powerful message, and especially the times we're living in, and the days we're living in. It is an important message to never forget. And with that in mind, I personally don't want to plug my own stuff. You can plug me for me.
All right. So the shows that Corey will be playing on Friday night, he will be at the Ford Tavern, and that is in Medford, which is basically Boston. Just go over the bridge. It's right over there. So we will be there. And Dave, if you're around Saturday afternoon before you go to Salem, we'll be hanging out in Cambridge all day because Corey has a private show later that night in Charleston. And we have a hotel room that night as well that will stay in Cambridge as well. So if you get too tired and you don't want to drive home, we're in Cambridge. We're staying at the Kimpton. So
probably not stay over, but I may try to link up with you during the day. I was considering going up a little early anyway. That might work out.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. So we are definitely around.
Yo,
Um,
since this was the 250th anniversary this weekend of the Battle of Lexington and Concord and Paul Revere's famous Midnight Ride,
I know I
we should
forgot to
do this
send out
weekend?
those greeting cards.
Damn it. And by the way, that night I put two lanterns in the window.
I want to thank, because I didn't know it was happening. Maybe Corey did, but we were actually at on Friday night. We did something that we hadn't done in many, many years. We went to LaSalle Market to the open mic, and they had a brand new host after 15 years. They changed it up a little bit, the format. So it is no longer a house band behind there. It kind of went to a new style where it's going to be more.
It went reverse. It went reverse Bob Dylan. It went acoustic.
It went acoustic. So, you could still do a duo or even a trio for that matter, but it's more for singer-songwriters and for people that just want to play their own music and play music by themselves. And if you want to be accompanied, you certainly can. When Corey walked in the door, 2 people asked him to play guitar for them, which is wonderful. But Bill Benson, shout out to Bill, did a fantastic job. By the way, our old and new and good and always friend, Eric Paradine, who was one of the hosts of the show for many times during the pandemic. Eric is still going to be hosting every other week. He will be doing it as well. So we got to do that on Friday night, and that was a lot of fun. And
we're thinking about you and your bionic knee, Eric. We love you.
Yes, Eric did have and he has a brand new bionic knee. He will be the $6 million man,
host.
We at the end of the night, we saw Peter and Leanne, Peter Hunter, Leanne Delaney, and Peter watches and makes comments lots of times on the show.
He's one of our Tuesday afternoon viewers.
Yes. So they are both, she's the lead singer, he's the lead guitar player from the great band Driving Iris. So at the end of the night, Leanne said just a little bit of history, because I know Corey likes history. It's the 250th anniversary of the Paul Revere's famous ride. So that's when Corey did put the lights up in his in the guest room in the house, his old bedroom. So that was kind of cool. And then I'll tell you what, the next night we went back to Collinsville Saturday night, because Corey only had a show Sunday, an extremely rare weekend on a Saturday that Corey doesn't have a show. That might happen 2 times in the entire year. We were able to go to the Crown and Harrow, Lisa's Crown and Hammer, right in Collinsville. Not my Lisa, but with the same sort of almost last name as my wife's maiden name, Lisa Maurer versus Lisa Marr. We went to the Crown and Hammer, and Driving Iris was playing there. And I got to tell you, most people know I'm pretty critical on a lot of bands, and a lot of local bands I'm not a big fan, or a lot of cover bands. Driving Iris is a phenomenally tight super group. Like, they are one of the best bands you could ever hire or hear play. They are just so smooth from song to song to song. Denny
LeDuc. Denny, listen, the best harmonies in the entire area. You have the tour de force of Denny LeDuc, Leanne, and freaking Tony Fonz. Leanne Delaney, Tony Fonz, Denny LeDuc, the 3 of them coming out tour de force, with Peter Hunter just coming out with flaming incendiary guitar, the best set list in the area, the best harmonies. And
if
again,
you're my age, they have the best set list.
Fuck you! I enjoy them. If you're any age,
well, you're of an old soul. I mean, but no, I had such a good time Saturday night, and I wished I didn't have to leave at like 10 or 30, 11 o'clock. We just had to get ready, because the next day I thought I was going to have a much harder drive to Long Island, but and they were very gracious. They had Corey come up to do Run Around with them, which was really cool also. It was a great song. So yeah, we had a great weekend, and I'm looking forward to this week. Lee Oscar Enterprises, going to the 2 shows. Then Corey's got a fun show again at Ford Tavern, and then he's got a private show in Charleston, Mass, also the next day. So we're looking forward to a really good week.
Yeah. Oh,
So yeah,
after
no.
Saturday, I will have a date for the wedding after the Saturday.
Well, hopefully it'll be your wife. No, I'm just.
I was waiting for something like that to appear.
It was one of those things.
I was going to say
you said it. You said it. It was too late.
Yeah, so that is very cool. So we'll have to have a big announcement next week.
That'll be the big announcement. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All
right,
everybody. Next week.
And you know what? Next week, show some pictures of the glaciers and stuff.
I was going to say, if you want to put together a presentation, we can display it. We have the technical capabilities now.
Well, I sent you some pictures, but I'll send you more a little bit later.
All right.
So.
We did show some of yours during the
Titanic.
I didn't watch any of it because I didn't want any.
I'm very happy you didn't. I made sure to not invite you.
Oh my god,
that was just bad time.
Bad juju. I don't need that for my first time ever on a cruise.
I'm a practicing Jew, thank you, and I'm trying to get better at it.
Oh jeez. Listen, at least you didn't have Murray and Ruthie as parents taking you to the Poseidon Adventure first. Just always remember that as a 7-year-old. So come on. Right. Just because when you were on a cruise, we decided to do the Titanic show. I don't see why you would have any kind of the love that was shown by your fellow co-hosts. Anyway, Corey, end the show.
I love everybody. This was another great episode. We'll see you next week when we talk about God knows what.
Pictures.
We're going to talk photography next week. How about that? See y'all later.
Sure.